Hi, welcome to One on the Page. I am Scott. It is the weekly wrap up for the week of 15 through 21 January. Let's go ahead and go. So last week, I said I've read all these books that I hadn't actually intended to read in order to not read the books that I was intending to read because I was reading some pretty heavy stuff, a little bit more effort needed to read them. So I ended up reading a bunch of very easy books to read. Not saying that they were bad. Most of them were good to all great, almost. But as far as reading them, they're very kind of popcorn books. You just, oh, I'm done. Didn't even notice. So I said, next week, I am going to concentrate on the books that I was reading. And then it snowed. And I don't know if this is the case for anybody else, but snow for me is a little bit like rain. When it rains, I just get the lazies. I don't want to really do anything. And it started Monday, and I think it started like late Sunday, and we were pretty much in the house from Sunday till Thursday. Where I live, not that easy to get out if there's snow on the ground. I live in Arkansas, so even a little snow pretty much shuts the state down. I did not get as much reading as I wanted to. And I say that, I say, oh, I finished 4 books. We'll get into that. The first book I finished was one that I had actually finished before I filmed the last weekly wrap up, because I filmed that weekly wrap up on a Monday, and the end of the week is Sunday. So I had actually finished the book on Monday, but because it was for until Sunday, I didn't count it. So it was per- Purposefully Accidental by G. Benson, another sapphic romance. Basically, a Hollywood star gets into an accident, goes to the ER room. The doctor there who is taking care of her turns out to be somebody she went to summer camp with, somebody who does not like her at all, because the star basically asked if she wanted to kiss, and then when the doctor, the 9-year-old girl at the time, went in for the kiss, she pushed down in dirt. Felt it was gay panic. It is a couple decades later plus, and the star is starring in a television drama. Okay, a little bit. She's starring in a television drama. She's at the height of her career, but she's won 4 Oscars. It's a little bit. I mean, come on. Has any actor or actress won 4 Oscars? I know Meryl Streep has won 3, I believe, but I don't think anybody has won more than 3 acting Oscars. So that's just a little bit unbelievable to me, but suspension of disbelief. Okay. She kind of, in a moment of panic, suggests the doctor for a consultant role. And the doctor does it. They, bicker back and forth. I see the doctor's point, but again, they were 9 years old. I mean, are you really going to have antagonism that long over something a 9-year-old did? I mean, I could understand if it was something like truly, truly, truly awful. Sure. Push you down in the dirt. I mean, if I held antagonism for people 2 decades after the case because of something as simple as that. All right. Both characters, other than do I really buy that she's holding on to this? I like both of them. I like the premise of it. I do feel like we do get a little bit of tonal whiplash because it really does start out pretty comically, and then it gets serious in some parts. Also, it's very realistic about Hollywood, other than the whole Oscar thing. It's realistic about the politics of Hollywood. I think it was a pretty good story if you get past some of the things. It's like that doesn't make sense at all. Overall, enjoyable. And I'm going to give that a 4-star. The next book I finished because I had to finish it. Not that I didn't want to finish, but I had to finish it this week because it is Love Among the Chickens by P.G. Wodehouse. It's a book that we did for a podcast. We're going to be recording the podcast on Saturday, so I had to get it finished by Saturday. I had read it previously. It is the only knowledge that has the character of Eucridge in it. Eucridge is basically, he's kind of a friend user. He will like get them into schemes and have them do the majority of the work, borrow their clothing without really notifying them that he's borrowing it, invite them to dinner, and then, oh, I don't have any money. Can you take care of this? Kind of thing. I actually like him better in the novel than I do in later short stories. The short stories, although they were published after the novel, are about Eucridge before the novel, because in the novel he is married and he is not married in the short stories, and in fact he meets his future wife in one of the later short stories. But it also is about character Jeremy Garnett, who is a writer, a friend of Eucridge, who kind of gets roped into this scheme, a chicken farm, chicken farms where the eggs just make money for you magically and you don't have to put any money into it, is a common Wodehouse plot. I I get colored by this because I talk with Robin on the podcast about it, and sometimes her point of view colors mine. I think this is a case where we diverge because she didn't mind Eucridge, who I dislike, and I think he bore some resemblance to the character of Smith, who she hates, but Robin really disliked the narrator, Jeremy Garnett, and just got to that point where she's like, when you find somebody that you really don't like, you basically shit over anything they do, even stuff that you wouldn't do for other people. She kind of got like that. I don't feel that badly about him. I don't really appreciate the Eucridge parts of the novel, but to be fair, Eucridge doesn't play as big a part in the novel as he usually does in the short stories. There's also a romance, and this is where Robin started to dislike the character of Jeremy. Whoops, sorry about that. Is that he hatched a plot to get back in the good graces of Phyllis, a girl he fell in love with, but whose father wouldn't let them near each other because he was offended by Eucridge. Is that he decides he needs to provide a service to her father, Professor Derrick, and he felt the best way to do that, a typical Wodehouse plot, is to save him from drowning. Just can't sit around and wait for him to drown, so he had somebody dump him in so they could save him. And that's where Robin started disliking. It's like, well, that happens in Jeeves and Wooster stories too. And Wooster is one of your favorite characters. But so I liked it well enough. I do not think it was one of the better Wodehouse books, but it's probably the best book of his early career. He started publishing in 1902. This one was published in 1906. I think that this is the best book of any of those in that time frame. I gave it 3.5 stars. Then the snow came, and I didn't read anything. I read, but I read sections, just small parts. And then, like, I think Friday and Saturday, snow was gone. Kid went back to school. I read some more, but I read easy reads as opposed to what I'm trying to read. I'll be quite honest. I'm on page 2 of Finnegan's Wake, and I have gone back and read the paragraphs multiple times. So I am progressing moderately well in other books. I do think that I will finish some of them this month. Obviously, there are ones that I've talked about previously that I won't finish for quite a while. But I did read Poppy Jenkins by Clare Ashton. I had read a previous book by Clare Ashton. I believe it was called Meeting Millie, which was one that I really liked. I think I probably liked Meeting Millie just a little bit more than this one. It is set in Wales in a small village. I can't say it. Poppy Jenkins is the main character. She is pretty much the only out gay person in her village, and her childhood friend, I'm blanking on her name, comes back, and they basically had a really bad friend breakup around the age of 16, and the woman who comes back is basically like, "Oh, I can't believe you're here. You're working in a cafe," kind of thing. Kind of comes across like she's looking down her nose on Poppy, who's happy there, except for the fact, obviously, that she doesn't have a partner because this is a small village, not really any other gay people around. So it's been a while since she's had somebody in her life, but she loves the village, loves being with her family, has a younger sister that she really cares about. There are some mix ups in here. The other woman, I'm totally blanking on her name. Nah, I can't remember. Weirdly, I can remember her ex's name, which is Sam. And I can remember Poppy's best friend. Don't know if I can pronounce it. Dai. I got that, but I can't remember the love interest. Basically, over time, romance grows. It feels a little bit more serious than Meeting Millie, but it also doesn't have as bad family dynamics as Meeting Millie. I remember railing a little bit about one of the woman's mothers in that, and I won't go into that again. I have my feelings about family members in books. So this one I rated as a 4 star. Also, there are other Claire Ashton books out that I may look at some point, but I really am trying to read all these books. So the last book I read is She Gets a Girl by Rachel Lippincott and Alyson Decker, I believe. I believe the two of them are married. Rachel Lippincott is a previously published author, but this is the first novel for her wife. Another sapphic romance. This one's set in college. I do have to say, probably just because of my age, I don't feel I identify with the college age romance as I might. I thought it was good, but it kind of deals in stereotypes a little in it. Also, it doesn't delve into stuff enough. There's an issue with both of the girls' parents, their moms, because one of her fathers is not in the picture, and the other one is just kind of there. He's there, he's supportive, but as far as within the book, he doesn't really matter as a character. And I don't feel like there was enough delving into there. I kind of go into these romance books looking oftentimes, will they last after the end of the book? This one, I really don't think so. One, they're very young. Two, and I remember one of the girls' name is Molly. Can't remember the other one's name. But Molly is very introverted. The other one is a flirts with everybody. Uh, Actually, she is with another girl at the time, and she accuses of her flirting too much. And she basically decides to help Molly with Molly's crush in order to show her girlfriend that she is able to not be a flirt. It was okay, wasn't great. I just think there was much more that could have been delved into. I don't necessarily enjoy reading about romances where I know, oh yeah, this is like their freshman year of college. This is not going to last to their junior year, maybe not their sophomore year. I'm not going to say it's going to end horribly anything, but is it going to end? Yeah, it's going to end. I'm going to give it a 3.5 stars. So I am still reading all the other stuff that I have been reading to varying levels, not necessarily as much as I would like to read, but I have progressed a little bit. I also I picked up more book, yeah, more book. One, I was I was looking for quick classics. I wanted something that was like at least 300 pages because I want to increase my page count, but also something that I could read quickly so that I could pump up the number of book stats without it all being like, oh yeah, you just pumped out this easy romance book. So, as often is the case when I'm looking to do this thing, I go that way. I picked up I Am a Cat by Soseki Natsumi. It's either Natsumi or Natsumi. I know Japanese have a thing with the U. Sometimes it's not pronouncing it. So I'm just gonna say Natsumi and apologize for probably being wrong. It it is published in kind of like a Charles Dickens kind of way, where it was like published over time in a serial. The main character is a cat, and this is basically a cat talking about their life and also Japanese culture and everything. That I'm telling you what I know. I have not read the book yet. I'm trying to hold off on starting the book just a little bit. But also, the book is over 600 pages long, so I don't think it's going to be a quick, easy read. But I'm definitely interested in it. I also, and I am not going to read this anytime in the next few weeks. Also got Kristin Hanna's The Great Alone. Have I read anything by Kristin Hanna before? No, I have not. Do I really remember what this is about, even though I read the synopsis? No, I don't. Set in Alaska, 1974, the sweeping, unforgettable portrait of human frailty and resilience spans the decades in a place of incomparable beauty and danger where a family learns the truth about the wildness that lives in both man and nature. This is a book club book. I'm a little annoyed at it because our book page limit is 400 pages, and this is over 550. But it's also apparently not a thriller, and I finally voiced my opposition to thrillers in the book club because basically they're like, Scott, what do you think about it? And I said, oh, basically, I don't like it. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a big surprise. It's because somehow I became known for the person not liking books. And it's like 8 of the books that have been picked in this book club have been thrillers. Thrillers that usually have one dimensional characters And I just don't find, at least thrillers that my family picks for book club, I don't find them interesting. So I'm looking forward to this tentatively. I also got Woodhouse on Woodhouse. This is a volume of 3 books: Bring on the Girls, Performing Flea, and Over 70. These are 3 books that I have not read by Woodhouse yet that I need to read for my 5-year battle Woodhouse, which should be starting in the next couple of weeks. These are also 3 nonfiction books. I've only read one nonfiction book by Woodhouse, Louder and Funnier, which is on my list of the worst books I've read in 2023. I don't have a lot of hope for this, but who knows? I just don't think his comedic writing that works so well in his fiction works as well in nonfiction. At least in Louder and Funnier, it came across as more mean spirited than it does in his fiction. So that is what I am reading right now, what I got in the future. I bought another P.G. Wodehouse book, but it hasn't come in yet. Apparently in 5 or 6 days. P.G. Wodehouse, The 5 Complete Novels, which has The Return of Jeeves, Bertie Wooster Sees It Through, which I've read those 2 under different titles, but it also has Spring Fever, The Butler Did It, and The Old Reliable. And those are also published under different names. But those 3 books I have not read before. And a lot of the books that I haven't read by Wodehouse yet are because they're very difficult to get. So sometimes I just have to take them where I can get them. It's a little bit easy with like the stuff published pretty much before 1920 because you can get that on Kindle because it's either free or like 99 cents or $1.99. The stuff that's a little bit more iffy as far as copyright, the popular stuff I can get. The less popular stuff I either am having trouble getting or I can get it if I'm willing to shell out a lot of money. And I'm not quite willing to do that with some of these books that there is a reason they're less popular. They may be good, but I don't know, and I don't want to put out a lot of money for a book and go, yeah, oh, that was shit. So that is it for this week. Hopefully next week I will be able to tell you, yeah, I read these books, no sapphic romance in them, which is not a problem, but it's like I got to read something else. And hopefully books that I started at the beginning of the month are actually some books which I started last month. Hopefully I will be able to say I have finally finished them. So please like and subscribe, leave a comment, and I will talk to you next week.